Well, namaste, everyone. I see that there are some newcomers here, too. Pleroma, you are paradise, as we all are. Wonderful. This is enlightenment. This is what waking up from the ego dream is all about. As simple as ABC, but the main thing is shifting your attention away from the thinking mind, the thoughts that keep us dense, that keep us separate. But it's as simple as that. I'm ecstatic that you're so ecstatic. There is a written guide to doing this mindfulness exercise that I put together, and it is available on the Buddha Center website. At least last time I looked, Zeno put it up there, so you're welcome to download it. But it talks briefly about buddhacenter.org. Yeah, and I think it's under my name. It's under Dokwang's teaching. So there's also an instructional sheet, kind of like a cheat sheet, there that I put together on emotional freedom technique, or EFT, which is the emotional releasing technique that I use as part of an integral spiritual practice. And in future Dharma talks, I would like to include that, or maybe have a talk, a chunk of time devoted to a group that's interested in working on the emotional blocks that they may feel they're having, or the emotional issues that are keeping them from feeling what Pleroma was just expressing that she felt by doing this little exercise, which is what our true nature is. That's who we really are when we stop listening to all those thoughts that try and convince us that we're separate and alone. So those instructions are there also, and I'll ask Delaney when I decide that we're going to do a group based on some EFT practice. You can read up on it beforehand, and then we'll be able to hit the ground running. But anyway, today the title of our gathering today is Hello Dalai. Hello, Dalai. Well, hello, Dalai. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. So, my inspiration for doing this talk today comes from Delaney, who at Christmas time gave to me as a gift. Thanks, Tashi. Anyway, Delaney gave me a Dalai Lama calendar, and it's one of those quote a day kind of calendars where you rip off a page for every day, and on each day there's a quote from the Dalai Lama. So I saved some of them because some of them are very helpful and instructive, and I wanted to just throw them out there, make my comments, and open the floor for discussion on them. So here's the first one. This was from Friday, March 19th. His Holiness says here, the highest Yoga Tantra teachings recognize that even within this short human lifetime, the possibility of full enlightenment exists. I'll read it again. The highest Yoga Tantra teachings recognize that even within this short human lifetime, the possibility of full enlightenment exists. Well, if you look at or recall what the Buddha said, he said, look within, you are the Buddha. And so the only thing that stands between us and the full enlightenment that the Dalai Lama is speaking of here is how we're looking within. That if we look within the right way, here we are, that this is it. So I don't think anybody who's in this group and listening to this discussion right now is here with the idea that the possibility of full enlightenment does not exist within this lifetime. Indeed, just the fact that you're here means that you're aware of that possibility and want to do something about it. Any comments on that quote, or shall I go on to the next one? Okay. And I would add the editorial comment that not within this short human lifetime, but within this moment, because this moment is the only time you can experience enlightenment. That a human lifetime is just an idea, it's a thought. That phrase, that term, human lifetime. None of us have ever experienced a human lifetime, because all that we experience is right now. So we're always at that point of choice. Oh, here's one. Did I talk about hope the last time I was on here? I believe I did. I did a little Dharma talk about hope. Yes. And anybody remember what I said? Basically that hope is the, quote, enemy. I mean, I don't want to put it in terms of hostility there, but hope is what actually prevents you from experiencing your true nature right in this moment, because it creates time and space between you and where you want to be. And it also posits some object, usually, that you want to attain, or some condition that you want to attain, which you feel that you're not experiencing right now, or you haven't attained right now. And that is the very delusion that keeps us from realizing and waking up, realizing our true nature, waking up to who and what we are right now in this moment. So anyway, the Dalai Lama says, and this is Monday, March 22nd, under no circumstances should you lose hope. Hopelessness is a real cause of failure. Remember, you can overcome any problem. So it looks like the Dalai Lama and I are at odds here. Or are we? Well, right. Thank you, Red. I think we have to... I mean, who was it at the last talk? I think it was Ruby, who is a therapist, and she said, should you try to tell a suicidal patient that there's no such things as hope? And I said, absolutely not, because somebody who is in that... Yes, I agree, Hero. Better to think positively than negatively. There are people, and I don't think that they are here in this circle with us today, because I think most of the people here have a pretty high level of spiritual understanding and understand what I was talking about last time when I said that hope is more of a problem than a solution. But there are people who are mired at much lower and much more negative levels of consciousness, who can't even begin to understand the idea that we are timeless, spaceless beings, and that by thinking hopeful thoughts, well, essentially we need to transcend thinking hopeful thoughts to come to the realization that everything that we are hoping for is who we are right now, right here. But I think what the Dalai Lama is speaking of is, or he's addressing those people who have not gotten to that level of consciousness, that level of spiritual understanding, who would not come close to understanding and feel that if you don't have hope, well, then you're resigned. It's resignation. So the idea is you have to use the concepts that are going to be understood. You can't ask a baby to run a marathon, so to speak. You give baby steps for little kids and bigger steps as they grow up, and then when they become adults, they can take large steps and faster steps and run marathons. So there is a progression here, but we have to also understand the Buddha's concept of right understanding, that it's all right here, right now, and that hope. Now, let me address that question that, who was it? Chris. Okay, so Chris asked the question, but can we hope for a better transition into another life, making us conscious of who and what we are and what we do today? If you indulge in hope, hope is a thought. Hope is a mental process. And as long as you remain mired inside a mental process, you're separating yourself from the reality that is within and without you right here and right now in this moment. Better than hoping is just dropping your immersion in thoughts and opening up, like we did in this little exercise, the mindfulness exercise that we do at the beginning of the talk. ABC, attention to present moment experience without label, without judgment, breathing, and then corporal or body awareness, awareness of our inner body. That doesn't mean that we try to push away the thoughts. We simply shift attention away from them so that they resume their rightful place, and we don't react to them or allow them to dominate our moods or our responses. So if you tell somebody at a certain level of consciousness who's very steeped in materiality and steeped in negativity, if you tell them, well, there's no such thing as hope, you're really doing them a disservice, because they can't understand timelessness and spacelessness. And they can't understand that surrender, which is what we are attempting to do here, doesn't mean resignation. There's a big difference between surrender and resignation. They may appear the same from the outside, but surrender is an inner knowing. And yes, acceptance, Zilfo. Does everybody understand that difference? Because that's a very important difference. See, resignation means that you're giving up and that there's nothing left in that giving up. And that's the basis for suicide. But surrender is understanding that when you give up, you're simply giving up your resistance to your higher self. And that is what brings about awakening. It's that surrender. Surrendering the need for the ego to be in control. Well, Pleroma, that's the bad news. Okay, Pleroma just said, I am procrastinating my enlightenment and Buddhahood because of hope, which you described a few minutes earlier. That's the bad news. The good news is that you can stop procrastinating right now. And in fact, now is the only time that you can stop procrastinating. And you stopped procrastinating when we were doing our mindfulness exercise, our ABC exercise, just before. So that's it. You are already a Buddha. You are already enlightened. Just need to drop the thoughts, the concepts, the judgments, the negative behavior patterns. Okay, so that takes care of hope. Here's the next one. I really like this one. Very short and succinct. With strength as mentioned in the Bible. Okay. How do you know that Jesus and the prophets didn't meditate? All right, perhaps we can discuss that at another talk. That would be an interesting topic. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with thy whole mind, thy whole heart, thy whole soul, and thy whole strength, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, I have some thoughts on that, Pleroma, and we will talk about that later. All I'll say right now about it is that the strength that is being referred to in that passage is not necessarily physical or even mental strength. Let's leave that for a little bit later, and I'll go on to the next Dalai Lama quote. All right, in the presence of anger, peace is impossible. That's pretty much a truism. If we want peace in this world, where do we have to start? Have a peaceful heart ourselves, learn how not to react with anger, as Jesus said, turning the other cheek. Yes, the last sentence read was, in the presence of anger, peace is impossible. So don't be angry. If you want to be peaceful, don't be angry. If you don't want to be peaceful, then be as angry as you want. That's what free will is all about. We always have the choice. We can either get with the program or we can resist it. And when we resist it, we feel bad. When we get with the program, we feel good. Right. Which wolf do you feed inside you? Thank you, cats. You feed the good wolf or the bad wolf? Yeah, because what is anger? Anger is an emotion. It's an energy reaction that occurs as a reaction to your interpretation of a situation. So it's, again, dwelling in the world of thoughts, the world of emotions, and separating yourself from the oneness that we are, that is our true nature. Well, Zahn, I suppose there could be rightful anger from the point of view of the ego, which looks at things as good and bad. And so if somebody does something bad and you become angry about it, I guess that's rightful anger. But from the point of view of the self, there's no anger because there's no offense. But you really have to be there. Yes, Jesus was angry. And there's another passage from the Bible that, right, he threw the money changers out. My interpretation of that passage is that he wasn't so much angry as frustrated, because he was dealing with people who just weren't getting it and who were still mired in materialism and resistance to grace, so to speak. But I don't think, and again, this is just an opinion because it's a thought, but I don't think that he was angry at them in the same way that we get angry when somebody does something that we don't like, when somebody offends us in some way. But that's an arguable point. The most important thing is that we don't talk about it, we don't conceptualize it, we don't debate it. Simply become present, and all the answers to all of these questions become very clear. Zan, can you consciously be angry, using anger as an energy to achieve a goal? Is there such a thing as controlled anger? Yeah, I think that you can. All of these things are valid. However, you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? Constructive anger, sure. But again, ask yourself, what is your goal? Is your goal to achieve some physical or material outcome, or some situational outcome? Or is your goal to be fully present and awake? Yeah, okay, Zan, send a message to a person perhaps. Yes, you can act angrily, put on an outward display of anger that will send a message to the other person. But if you are feeling anger inside, you're basically contracting. You're pulling away from your true nature. And so you're perhaps winning the battle, but I think you're losing the war. Okay, if I use the strong emotion to clean my house, that energy was used constructively. Yeah, I agree. I agree that you can use that energy constructively. And that is a step along the path. But the next step would be just to be aware of your presence, your full presence, waking up and not needing to be angry about anything. So maybe you could put it is that the amount of anger that you feel during the course of your day, during the course of your life, is directly proportional to the distance you are from fully waking up. Because when you're fully awake, there's no need for anger or any other negative emotion. Or hatred, exactly. Okay, you are strong, or hatred for that matter. Well, it's not a question, I don't think it's a question of strength. I think it's a question of surrender. Surrendering the ego and the ego's need for control, which it enforces through many ways, anger and hatred being one of them. Yes, Zan, I agree. Hate is different from anger. You can have anger with hatred or without hatred. And I guess you could, just to refer back to that story about Jesus and the money changers, I think he was angry but without hatred. He came from a place of presence, a place of enlightenment, a place of awakenedness. Who of Buddha's disciples reached an awakened state? Well, Mahakashyapa did, and Ananda did, at least those two. But what's more important is, are you? Let's move away from thinking about other people and past teachers and go to the real teacher, which is within you. And you can wake up as soon as you drop your attachment to your thoughts and your ego processing, controlling mind. Pleroma, a very knowledgeable person. Well, if that's true, it's simply because I've been around for a long time and I've studied a lot. Okay, are we ready for the next quote from the Dalai Lama? In order to practice meditation, first clean your room. How do you like them apples? In order to practice meditation, first clean your room. Because everything that we do, well, Katie, even your physical room. Can't clean your room, can't meditate, huh, Zan? What is meditation but simply experiencing each moment and acting upon each moment with full mindfulness? Go to the beach? Actually, that's exactly where I'm going as soon as this Dharma talk is over. Does anybody remember the story of Joshu and the young monk? Zen story, Joshu, the famous Chinese Zen master of the 8th century. A monk who just finished or just entered the temple comes up to Joshu one morning and says, "Master, I've just come to the temple. I just got here yesterday. Would you please teach me?" And Joshu said, "Well, did you finish your rice porridge for breakfast?" And the monk said, "Yes, master." And Joshu said, "Well, then you'd better clean your bowl." So in order to practice meditation, first clean your room, or clean your bowl, or clean your toilet, or cook your food. Don't understand it, Red? Or bathe. There's another one here. Here! Okay, Friday, March 12th, which just ties right into this. You can meditate while driving and walking, while on a bus or a train, and even while taking a shower. Or, and this is my addition to the quote, even while sitting on the toilet. Because meditation is not about sitting on your ass and chanting some mantra. Meditation is simply learning how to control your attention. That's it. And if you could bring your full attention to whatever it is you're doing, no matter what it is, on a bus or a train, shopping, cooking dinner, eating, focusing your mind, cats, yes, exactly. That's meditation. It is shifting your mind away from all of the thinking, all of the mind noise, and being fully present until you're able to do that moment by moment by moment by moment and live in that awakened state that we call enlightenment. Oh yeah, Crystalina, sitting on your ass with a mantra is good too. But if that's all you want to do all day, day after day, well, then maybe you'd better go to a monastery to do it. But we here in the, quote, real world have a much more difficult task. We here in the real world have a more difficult task than monks who spend all their time in the temple, because we need to address the real life issues of making a living and having shelter and food and clothing and dealing with the world. Monks have it easy. I mean, we look at a monk's life and say, oh, that's so difficult. I couldn't do that. Okay, what does the pentagram pentacle represent in Buddhism, if anything? I don't know the answer to that question, Pleroma. I know that there is a lot of symbolism in Buddhism. Perhaps there's another teacher here at the center or at one of the other Buddhist centers that would be able to help you with that. Okay, Ray, heart center up and down, up-down energy paths. Well, yeah, you know, the little meditation that we do at the beginning is a really great way to center on your heart. You've heard people say, you know, about other people, or that they talk from the heart, or they're really listening with their heart. Well, if you want to do that, that's how to do it. Just focus, put your attention right on your heart, and feel the breath coming in and out through your heart while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And focus away from the thoughts and put it on whatever it is that you are doing, whether it's riding the bus or reading or talking with somebody or cooking or eating or cleaning the house. Okay, just to make a comment on this little side discussion that's going on about the 6 or 5-pointed star. The 6-pointed star is the union of an upward-facing and downward-facing triangle. And those two triangles symbolize the one that's coming down is heaven, the one that's going up is earth, the union of male and female, yin and yang. I guess if you want to know more, you can read the Da Vinci Code. He talks about that at length, about that pyramid in the Louvre. Okay, why do monks find it so easy to isolate themselves from society? Well, they're men on a mission, and women on a mission. They want to devote their lives to the pursuit, so to speak, of enlightenment. The only problem with that is that you can't pursue enlightenment. That's like the pursuit of happiness. You've heard that phrase, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, you can't pursue happiness. The more you pursue it, the farther away it gets. You simply have to stop pursuing and just be happy. That famous phrase from Meher Baba that Bobby McFerrin turned into a gold record. Don't worry, be happy. What is worry? Worry is attaching to negative thinking. If you break your attachment to negative thinking, you become the happiness that you already are, and that negative thinking is masking from your awareness. Okay, Ajahn Brahm said it in a superb sentence. Every place where you are and don't want to be is a prison. Okay, negative thinking is believing in failure. Yeah, if you believe that you are not going to succeed at something, that puts you in a state of negativity. If you dwell on that, if you indulge those thoughts, then, cats, you've already failed. But again, the good news is you can reverse that at any time. Just stop listening to those thoughts and realize that everything you want, everything you need, everything you are already, is right here, right now. Okay, to appreciate the positive, you need to see the negative with another eye and understand it. Well, yeah, the path is open. We don't want to control the negative. We simply want to transcend it. The only thing we want to control is what we are paying attention to, how we use our attention. Because by using our attention the right way, we will see loud and clear who and what we truly are. We will wake up. Enlightenment is simply appropriate attention. Right, let it go as in surrender, not resignation. Let go of the ego's need to control, because the ego's need to control is based in materialism. It's based on the idea of separation, that we're in here in this bag of skin and bones, and everything else is out there, and that we have to act on those separate objects to get the things that we want and need for our survival and for our happiness. And that's a lie. That's the lie that the Buddha was exposing. That's the lie that Jesus was exposing. That's the lie that every great being, every great Zen master, every great guru is saying. All of that love, all of that joy, all of that power, whatever word you want to use to describe it, because it is indescribable in words. But that's who you are. Okay, last question. Stay in control of your possibilities. There are no possibilities. There is only the certainty of who and what you really are. And you either realize it or you don't in this moment. The idea of possibilities admits to past and future. There are a lot of people. I mean, the bulk of the population of the world is at a level of awareness where you do have to talk about things like hope and possibilities and working and practicing and all of that. But the closer and closer you get to your self-realization, the more you understand that there is nothing that you need to do except open up your eyes and ears and heart to what you are without any effort, without trying, without anything. The strength, right, there's nothing to control, Talon. The strength that you need for self-realization is not in an attempt to achieve anything. The strength that you need is to work at quieting the ego, which is the only thing that's standing between you and your realization of your true nature. What future, Zilpho? Just let what all happen? Yeah, just be here now. Just be fully present, and everything is going on perfectly within and without. And everything that happens will simply be a reflection of the peacefulness and the expansiveness and the joy and the love of your inner state. It's just letting go. Katie, how many times is it necessary to arrive at this state? Only once. Now. And now, and now, and now, and now. We are at that point of choice in every moment. Enlightenment is being able to make the right choice in every moment, moment by moment by moment. Okay, well, I think the beach is calling me now, as whatever your future holds, the future that doesn't exist, holds for you. Yay, beach. Okay, folks, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to sit and discuss things around the fireside chat.